Hi, welcome, welcome. What a great day. So nice out. Today we wanted to talk about, welcome, this is Joanna, the Early Morning Ascension Show. We wanted to talk about how I've got more cards. I've been making more in between all my clients and my beautiful, my glyphs and my artwork that I've been sending out to my clients that have been purchasing that. So we wanted to just spend a moment or two. Our glyphs of activational art, we create the light language through your teams, and we call in your higher self and your soul and your teams that you're co-creating with. In this time right now, it's always aligned with your ascension and what you need to know right now. And of course, the glyphs are a living activational art, multidimensional light language, which means that in any time that you work with those glyphs, they change with you, and you can encode those glyphs just like crystals, how you want the glyphs to work with you and what you want the glyphs to kind of be that portal of communication and information. And so the glyphs are ever changing with you, and how you want to work with them is unique to you. And I do a video as well. So we've been busy with those this week and clients. So we're really excited. And we're going through these really big shifts and these changes for, new earth preparation, preparing us all for this coming new year, which is, I don't even know what year it will be, 2022. So that's a 6. And that's the harmony, year of harmony, in which we've kind of, as much as we've gone through that clearing of all the vibrational stories through which we all see things kind of deconstructing in our 3D reality, really calling up those wounds from the psyche, from our inner child, and all of the experiences that we've had that we need to realign with who we are as spirit, coming back to center for the truest story of who we are, the truest celebration of who we are. I'm going to bring that into our conversation today because it's really allowing us to go deeper within our vibrational story, which is what we want to create today. The vibrational story that's been coming to me the last couple of days is the creational seeds. And these creational seeds are in any moment that we choose to open ourselves up as the vibrational portal of spirit, the vibrational portal of how we communicate and honor spirit in all things. We create new potentials of harmonization of what they're called codes or seeds of life and seeds of creation. And you can picture and view it and imagine it and play with those experiences and wonderments in any way that you so choose. And within your divine sacred heart, the divine sacred heart, which Master Jesus showed me many years ago, is the beautiful diamond shape that's in the very center of your body. And inside the very center of your body are the beautiful sacred seed codes, as well as placed not only in your field of multidimensional fields of magnetics and light and sound and resonance, as well as codes are everywhere within our creational reality, because all things are spirit, omnipresent experience for us to dance and float within, and to flow within this beautiful river of vibration, and allowing us to grow within that river of vibration, because it's always being bathed in new codes, it's always being prepared for new codes. And it's our consciousness, each individually, because we're only responsible for ourselves and our light. And if we're following the highest path of who we are, if we're following our highest excitement, then we are allowing all others to step into their highest potentiation as well. And it's called the pearl threaded, which means that as you're stepping out of the conformed experiences and cycles of vibration, you're allowing all else to be threaded with you to move up also. But that means that anything that you've left has that potential to see where they sit, and to see perhaps the potentials of anything else. Could be a part of you, could be not a part of you. Because oftentimes when you leave circles of where you were existing in, sometimes those molecules and those cells and those vibrations have to look outside for anything else that they can vibrate with in usually like vibration. And it's really about the micro macro of our creative reality. And it's all vibratory. It's all vibratory. And when you do break out of that experience, you're then redefining who you are, the character of who you are, the story of who you are, the characters in the landscape that you want to create. And it's really infinite. So as we're releasing those experiential stories, all the stories that we belong to, lineage, Akashic, societal, and all of those experiences, as we're releasing ourselves from those stories, we get to then create the new experience of who we are, to then direct, intend, and focus those new vibrational stories for our universal becoming. And within the omnipresent, we then get to allow the whole universe to come with us. And that's what's meant by the all, the micro, the macro, because we're allowing ourselves to move as a collective of one. And why it's so, so important that each and every moment that we can express and co-create and step outside of old routines and stagnancy, because stagnancy is the controlling factor that just doesn't allow cells and anything else to kind of create its new story, its new belonging. And those energy vibrations of where your body wants to call in that greater light, those seeds get activated. And those seeds are a part of who you are and who your potentiation can and grow to be and harmonize to be through the alchemy, if you will. And the alchemy is through your pure intention of you knowing you as source, as the creator of all that is, the codes of the forest, the codes of are omnipresent, the codes of the ocean, anything that you so have in your environment. And we say the environment is so effective on your vibration. We have been taught and brought up to believe that we are the manifestation of our environment, and it's really the opposite, as Lord Sananda had showed me last year sometime in a channel, and I created some downloads on that we are the ones that affect our reality. We are the ones that affect our environment, and it's why it's so important not to just surrender into the vibrational stories that succumb to the ideas that you're less than, that you don't affect your environment, that you don't have the light to change all things, but you do. You absolutely do. You're a powerful creator, and your intention of who you set yourself to be and reclaiming all of your consciousness, returning all of who you are at your heavenly heart, divine sacred heart, as I've called it. That divine sacred heart is understanding that you are divine and heavenly. The sacredness is that you are now holding yourself in sacred honoring and the sacred story of who you are, body, mind, heart, spirit, and soul. You're an ever-evolving multidimensional being. The multidimensional bodies of the heart, the mind, the soul, and the spirit, which are also incorporated into the physical, the mental, emotional, and etheric. And all that you are able to clear and cleanse those bodies, because you are responsible for your light, how much light you are able to call in, process, and integrate. Because as we move through these vibrational shifts, we will be getting those higher vibrational downloaded codes that we're having to now activate and understand. Those codes can be seen as seeds, the seeds from creation, and you can work with your teams to amplify this and activate this for you. When you're getting ready to move through, again, you're knowing your intimacy of your own ascension cycle, you can allow yourself to understand that, well, okay, am I in this beginning activation stage where you're calling in new information, you're calling in new potentiation, allowing yourself to also understand that in those calling in of new energies, allowing yourself that time to process what you're getting, to process what you're feeling and what you're sensing, and then allowing yourself that integration time. What does this mean for me now? How can I use this in my life now? How can I create a new cycle of now? How can I create a new behavior? How can I create a new, we call it routine, but we really want to allow it to be as expansive and creative as possible. Really stepping out of what your bodies and your minds and your entrainment used to do, and really expand into the new becoming of you. Because that seed of your new becoming is allowing you to nourish that seed and draw nourishment and health and wellness to that seed. And you're loving that seed, and you're honoring that seed, and you're valuing that seed. And that is returning the value and the worth back to you. You are the sacred seed of spirit. You are the vessel and the presentation of the heavens, and how may you cherish it in all of your multidimensional bodies. So if you're going through an experience, we'll just give you an example. You're going through an emotional wounding and you're trying to clear those emotional wounds. You can create that seed within your divine sacred heart and work with your healing teams and your soul and your higher self, and work with the bathing of the light and clearing out your fields. And then focus on that healing seed to be placed within your mental and your emotional bodies. Because usually there's a mental program of belief that's held to that wounding in your emotional body. You're not enough, you're not creative enough, whatever that wounding is, like a rejection or abandonment, betrayal, whatever those wounds are, because they're infinite. And they're always connected and threaded with one another, which then becomes a physical ailment or illness. So put this seed in your emotional body at the core of that wound, and then in your mental body. And then through breath and intention, call all of your consciousness back to your heart, divine sacred heart. We're going up to the heavens. We're activating our pillar of light. We're calling in because we're responsible for our light, and we have potentiation to access and accelerate and participate in the highest light codes of all that we are. We're sending light and potentiation to all others, knowing that they have it too. We're blessing everything as oneness. We're blessing everything as the potential of all that is, and allowing everyone their unique paths, and calling in your activation of your pillar of light, and just setting that beautiful field of light, bathing your pillar of light, bathing your pillar of light, and all that you are through the violet flames. So you're bathing and cleansing any densities. And you're going to bring that code, and you're going to bring that seed down into your heart. And you're going to have that seed that's within your heart now disperse itself into the emotional body. And just like a beautiful, whatever color you need, and just rely and surrender to your higher self and your soul. And just have your higher self and your soul direct you, because you might need different colors. I've seen different colors and when I'm working with different clients, and that will usually allude me to colors that they need based on the crystalline energy in their bodies or what's needed for healing, as also to the energy that's needed in that particular chakra for extra work. And you can refer that back to them to work with those colors in their chakras and just call forward that wound. And just by breathing and just calling and just placing that intention, I'm calling this wound forward. I'm calling this wound forward, and just relax and allow. And through breath, deep breathing, focusing on that wound. You don't have to relive the story, just call the wound forward. It might be betrayal. You want to heal betrayal, so call that wound of betrayal. And within 5 to 10 breaths, you'll feel those energies come up from that chakra. And just visualize again the seed that is being burst to bathe that field from the inner and out, and bathe and cleanse and clear that field of that wound. And then also that whatever chakra or wherever that is held, because it might be held in the field, it might have been held as a, thank you Spirit, as a beautiful projection that showed you an energy that you were holding in your story, your vibrational story that was sent by someone else, that you can clear that. So anything that anybody sends you and any interactions that you're going about life with, usually any of those interactions that we co-create are because those energies are held within your story that you're just allowing yourself to take participation in. And say, you know, how do I feel about this, and return to center. I get that. I get why I attracted that. I'm so grateful for that reflection. And now I'm just going to clear that, because I allow myself to know that I'm infinite. I am a seed of light. I am the seed of love. And I choose to be a seed of love, and just focus on the intention of seed. I'm placing my seeds of love into the earth, and then visualize the earth star chakra bathing the light back into the earth. You're changing the grids, you're changing the story, you're changing the omnipresent, because you have the intention to now place your foot on this new experiential template. And so we each have the ability to just feel into who we are and start renaming ourselves as seeds of spirit. We are seeds of God, we're seeds of the Creator. And we have that potential just to really start nourishing ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally, and really feel into what that seed means for you. And just practice breathing into that seed. And if you were that seed that was going to be birthed into something that's most magical, and it can be a creative seed. And if many, of my clients come to me and say, well, I don't know what my gifts are and how to activate them, you can use that seed for that experience and really start working with the seeds of creation and seeds of creativity. How can I really create from that beautiful experience? And just really start exploring myself in this experience of creativity. Because we're entering into these new these new templates, if you will, and these new templates of energy. And it's all based on who you now know yourself to be, and your ability to allow yourself to explore in the most unique way. And your path is meant to be unique. It's meant to be explored in the seeds that you were sown within, meaning that spirit, your DNA, your soul blueprint, all that you are as the encompassment of spirit and your inner work that you've allowed yourself to move within, the work that you are with spirit and all other realms, your many, many lifetimes that you've come with. So you are a unique, fingerprint, if you will, a unique seed. And so how you nourish that seed of loving yourself and creating that daily self-care, getting intimate with your ascension cycle, working through whatever comes up needs to come up. But also now that creational seed is, you can use it for the healing. You can use it for the now creation of your new story. What are you going to seed for that story? What are you going to seed for that new reality experience? And now you can really start feeling into, how does my seed want to be nourished? And you know that when you're going into a new story of self-love and self-honor and self-appreciation, that you're going to want to give yourself a lot of self-love so you can clear those really deep wounds that most often than not, most don't even understand or remember that they have, because a lot of it is suppressed memory. And our collective will continue to move through these clearings and these collective releases of subjugation and deep wounding, because they're happening on many earthly timelines. And why it's really important, again, that daily self-care. But to see your seeds as many different things, the creational reality of who you are, and really feel with presence and breath and stillness and silence into those seeds and what those seeds are offering you. And they're showing me, they showed me this morning before we got on, that those are also codes in light language that are also held within the chakras, the many chakras that we have within our multidimensional bodies. They're also held within the biosphere, that are waiting for us to awaken into experiences of our co-creation and our communion, waiting to match those experiences in matter or energetic state. Meaning that, again, micro, macro, the molecules are all, the cells are all vibrating at a particular potential. And it's when you're communing and collaborating that all of that spiritual matter becomes into what you've known to be as your brainstorming experience. And then you start creating the pathways for that spirit matter to become matter. And that's who you are as co-creators with spirit. And so you can allow yourself to just nourish and bless all of those seeds. And how are you going to now bring your seeds to beautiful new life? How are you going to bring it to a part of the nourishment of the new beautiful earth that can be very positive and loving, and you know, the embellishment of you, because you are the presentation of the heavens. So what does your seed say? What is your story? What is your vibration? And it's about you, and only you. And that's how you know that you're co-creating in the most authentic and genuine experience of you. And it's meant to be. And so those seeds of creation are really, really important to play with, because they're only activating those aspects of you that you know are genuine within you, and not a replicate of anything else or anyone else or any other vibration, but to know that it is uniquely yours to explore, to heal, to co-create within, and really get comfortable and intimate with those codes. And they were saying that the cacophony of sound that most often plagues your planet and your world keeps you from truly learning and understanding and connecting more deeply with the codes and the seeds of life that are always within you to activate and move about in different co-creative realities. Because you can now, you know, just as we've been experiencing ourselves in different ways that we communicate multidimensional information, and we're living in multidimensional experiences of energy, ways of those seeds becoming more tangible, if you will, for us to co-create with. The only way I can explain it is that when we're now accessing different gifts and skills and talents, and that different skills and gifts and talents are allowing us to explore those seeds of ways that we can see, interpret, and feel and sense multidimensional God energy, the omnipresence, the essence that's always around us. And this is the card that we pulled. This is one of the new cards. This is one of the most recent ones, because oftentimes throughout my experiences with spirit and being a universal channel and a conduit and a visionary, you know, and a prophet, that I've come here to bring and reignite and reactivate ancient wisdoms and texts through the now experience of humanity and what we're all moving through, and how to interpret it that's most usable for those at many different stages and phases of ascension. And our beautiful sacred songs and sounds and tones that are our harmonics are also codes and seeds. One of the words and one of the experiences that always had me very baffled was the word grace, because much of what we've written about in our traditional texts is not necessarily that true for what spirit, you know, has intended for many things. And that's an infinite number of experience, because not any one thing is meant for any one thing. Meaning that it doesn't have to only mean one thing, it's mean many things. But oftentimes from our ancient texts and from our ancient traditions, they're very steeped in limitation and fear, subjugation, you know, the fear of God and all of those experiences, which is not necessarily meant for what spirit wants us to experience, the highest and the best of who we are, right? And it's only in the ego and the wounds that we take ourselves out of that truest experience of love and unconditionality. And that's why it's so important to heal those wounds. Because otherwise you respond and you live from the spirited space and not from the ego, which is wounded. Most often are the psyche and the inner child and shadow. The shadow is there because of those wounds that allow you those safety fight or flight experiences, which are not necessarily the unconditional spirited experience where you're always safe, you're always loved, and which is a truth. And that's your true oneness with spirit. And so this experience with grace, which I was shown, is to live in the soft allowance that you're always held by spirit, and to know that in this soft allowance there will always be that portal of gentleness and compassion and beauty and hope. And that's what grace to me really means. And to work with the vibration of grace is absolutely, in essence, how we all nourish the new seeds of life. And that is really the mastery. That's a mastery code. One cannot force something into creation. One cannot force something to grow. You can't force a seed to bloom. You know, it will come up out of the cement, out of the most beautiful, incredible experiences, not even expecting that seed to be grown, and there it is. And so that's why it's really important when you're focusing on who you are at the subconscious and conscious level, the universe responds equally to you, to whatever your vibration is, conscious or unconscious. So the more aware you are of who you are, clearing out those wounds so that you're honoring and matching those vibrations of higher and higher intention, the universe will match that for you. And you're offered all of these creative potentials. The universe is a vibrational matching. That's what it is. That's why we have the universal laws, so that one understands what you are vibrating, the energies, and how one behaves with energy is exactly what the universe will match you with. And so understanding the universe is just a palette of infinite potentiation, but it's up to each and every one of us to take that in honor and responsibility, why we have the universal laws that we do, so that one understands the ability of, chaos and order, and to use the laws with responsible understanding of the right use of will, so that all is honored, all life is sacred, so that we're not forcing our will, inherently on anything else that throws off the skew of natural balance. And that's why we've always had especially, any leaders that are truly of the highest benevolence for creation would honor and begin their inner work of, sacred oneness. Why wouldn't one? And the one I just pulled out was the right use of will. Because one has to take that experience of, wow, I'm really an exceptional, presentation of spirit, and how would I want the right use of will to be honored for all people, including thyself, and why one would never consider creating such incredible arenas of destruction, because it's an absolute disregard of all right use of free will, of peace and sacredness to all life. And that's where we're waking up. Hello. We are in this beautiful, lush experience in the seeds of creation. And why would we want to? We've had destructive timelines before. We've learned our lesson. And so the intimacy of our own unique ascension path and clearing out those wounds is so important, to understand the right use of will and the universal laws, and how to honor it, because it's absolutely going to be matched within your own soul's plan. Right? And it's challenging enough as it is, right? To work with the Akashic wounds and the healing of the timelines. And so this grace is about the allowance and the softness and the gentleness of what the natural flow is always about. And that's grace, where you understand when you're opening and living as the vessel of spirit, that's all that's needed, is just to trust that you're absolutely held and honored and loved as with source. And you just have to merely live in that energy of grace and love and peace, because that's the most purest experience, and how you're nourishing and valuing and uplifting any seed that's ready to burst into new life. And so it's grace for me is about this entering a new phase of allowance and understanding mastery in that, and how you can create and manifest from that energy of grace, what it means for you, and how does grace really feel. It's not what has been written about in our dictionaries. It's understanding that you're matching spirit at that level of understanding the gentle fluidity and the creational beauty and natural benevolence of life, and the delicate balance that's required for us to honor. And that's the whole awakening process. It's also part of the divine feminine, which is just the allowance of all the seeds that you put out there are now ready for you to receive, right? So to always know that there's cycles of doing the work, of seeding the gardens, of nourishing the gardens, of pulling out the weeds and pulling out what doesn't fit for you, and reworking your story, and then you get to receive. So there's always cycles. And why, again, it's important that we honor the right use of will for everybody's path, so that their path is unhindered by anybody else's, output. You cannot force yourself into anyone's story, and nor should you want your story to be forced on anyone else, right? Because it's their right use of will to go in with it and seek their own unity with their seeds and their codes and their blessed stories of awakening and change and transformation. And that's about the divine feminine. Like, who am I today? How can I receive more of myself? How can I nourish myself as a beautiful seed? And it's about the sacredness of honor. And we've never taught these experiences on earth. And if we allowed ourselves to do that upside down, topsy-turvy experience, where we're coming out of these old stories, where all of our value and our worth was put outside of us, the disenfranchisement of all peoples, most often than not, aside from the top 5%, everybody else has been a disenfranchised experience. So how can we really shape that up and shake it up and say, well, we choose to be a part of our own history now, herstory, where all peoples are included, where all children, all tribes, and the sacredness of all life, from the earth to the oceans to the sky and to the realms of the unseen and seen, that is spirit. And why we have such universal laws, the quantum science. It allows us to see that there are things beyond what we know, and quantum, the spirit of source, is in between the quantumness, even as small as you might think it might be, to be visual. Spirit will always have that majesty and that magnificence to be unseen, because that is the miracle that we're meant to just surrender into. We're not meant to have it all figured out, nor are we meant to have God all figured out. It's meant to be a magical and mysterious journey, and we're not meant to control it in any way. It's meant to be the flow and the sacredness of grace, and just to know that you're held in grace. And just surrendering to that, it's like, wow, you don't have to allow the ego to control all parts of your day and have that cacophony of sound that you're disconnected from spirit. So again, it's the cradle of God. It's the cradle of spirit. You're held. And just surrender to it. Thank you, spirit. And even the most challenging of time, you just surrender to who you are as spirit, you'll be guided in the most challenging of times. And that allows you to build, which is a mastery tool, and skill, which is unconditional trust. Can you trust unconditionally, or do you have to manage every moment thinking that it's not safe? And then to go in and heal those safety wounds. Because that not feeling safe will just manifest the universal experience and match you equally on your lack of safety. And can you surrender into the leveling up and living as grace? And that's being responsive and present with spirit before words, breathing before words, and surrendering to the grace, and allowing your seeds to be blooming and to be nourished by you, to be held by you, to give yourself time to love yourself throughout your day, to nourish the seed that you are of spirit. That's what spirit would do, always holding you in grace. The softening and the leadership that requires to just hold yourself in grace. Because we've come from this egocentric experience of doing and devaluing ourselves to do, to get, to work, to have love, to work, to be loved. And all of those experiences, which is not who we are at all. We are always held as sacred seed, always. And our experience is in the benevolence of all that is, Creator, God. Our experience, our stories matter to all of evolution. And it's up to each and every one of us to center and to create those stories of meaning now. That yes, I want to be held with grace. I hold myself with grace. And therefore I'm going to honor all else in grace. Because I understand it is the balance and the natural equation of creation. And that again goes to the right use of will. Just honoring that there is an equal, beautiful balance of creation. And if that in any way is upset in any way, by, again, all, the virtues and the things that we used to learn about in religion, those stories are tangible in that it just allows us to honor the laws of creation and the benevolence of the right use of will. Not to have that gluttony experience over and over and over again, like we have with our planet, and, or indulgence and all of those things that warp the sense of self within, that you can stay within that beautiful experience of balance and sacredness just by holding yourself and holding yourself dear, that you get to create that with yourself. And again, it's the surrender of honor. Hold yourself in honor and hold yourself there and hold your speech there. Hold your intentions there. Hold your responsiveness with honor. If I'm going to honor my next response, how would that look and feel? I want to honor it. If I'm going to create a beautiful song, how would that sound? And again, that goes to the beautiful balance of our experience, because we're opening into these beautiful new grids of potentiation. And those grids of potentiation and those codes and those seeds are going to feel different and look different and excite in different ways, which means that we're creating this new 5D reality, and it's going to look and sound and going to be created in different ways from all of our co-creative genius. And therefore, our whole world and what we find fulfilling and that new balance is going to be much more rich and beautiful and joyful. And so really seed your garden and seed your potentiation, and behaving in new 5D ways is going to allow you to really feel into the sacredness of who you are and really create those sounds and those tones and those experiences that are of that vibrational level, because you want always to be reaching out and stretching out. As we said on our social platforms this week, if you dream big, God will match you and even create better for you and higher. And that's evolution. Spirit's always saying you can do higher and deeper and richer and wider, and reach high, dream big, soar, reach for the stars, never play small. Know that you are the heavens. Know that you are all things in between. So we're going to do a light code activation and sacred sound. So just open up your pillar of light. And we're going to call on the celestial and galactic families and friends and tribes. Thank you, Spirit, for holding us so dear. And we're holding in the vibration of grace, and we're holding in the vibration of sacred seed. So anything that you would like this seed to create for you, whether it's a healing, whether it's a new creative experience, whether it's self-love, those seeds will be there with your intention and the purity of who you are, just to allow the sacredness of creation. There's always a beautiful balance and flow, and it's just about your presence to open and allow and just explore and discover and allow your sacred excitement and creativity to come to the forefront, just to receive. And creating an intention for grace and love. And thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. And we're going to create some sacred sound. Thank you. The various councils that I'm dealing with. Thank you. The holographic nature of your experience is held within the vibratory threadings of your harmonics. Of every dimension is held on a different vibrational thread of harmonics, and the bandwidth within every dimensional harmonic. Thank you, Spirit. And Joanna has the potential to thread in and out of these experience and dimensional threads. Thank you, Spirit. I sometimes don't know how to explain the things, and when I'm channeling, they just say what they need to say it to allow others to understand what I see and how I thread and what I do. Thank you, Spirit, for explaining that. You're welcome. May it just be a joy of making your sound. Thank you for allowing me the open potential. Thank you, Galactic Federation, the Councils of Light. Thank you, Councils of Light, the Sacred Seeds, Symphonies of Light. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you, dear lighted ones. So they were just saying the sacredness of you being here is far more profound than you know. And so start playing with those experiences that you cannot see and you're not distracted by the outer experience. And just sit within the presence of just honoring that seed of who you are. And really feeling into that seed and allow yourself to be shocked in awe, of how incredibly profound you are as this movement of threads of energy and love and light. And you have absolute. Everything in our reality right now is showing us and redirecting us back within. That's where it has always been. How our consciousness, the vibration of our oneness, the vibration of our potentiation within this beautiful experience of consciousness, the seeds of consciousness, is exactly the healer, the resolver of all of our human issues. It just is. How we allow ourselves to align with the infinity of the micro, macro, and the elegance of the flow that is spirit and God, always creating that perfect balance if we allow it and to live in grace. How we're always constantly matched by the universe in equal opportunity, the vibration that we hold within, in love and grace. And we are the secret seeds of any vibrational thread and bandwidth that we want to get in there and just start creating with spirit and love and grace. And we love you so much, dear little ones. Our links are below for anybody that would love to send us any donations. We love your offering and your connections with us. We really do love you and appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your ascension journey. We do hold bi-monthly beautiful mastery classes. We're so excited about how these classes have been going. So many wonderful activations that we have with one another. Private sessions, intuitive sessions, vocational coaching packages, 4 sets of packages, and of course, activational glyphs and those stories that are held within the glyphs just for you. It's a personalized experience just for you that you can work with your teams and open up new portals of experience in multidimensional ways of who you are as spirit, as a multidimensional spirited being creating matter. We are spirit first. Our bodies would not exist without our spirit, and why it's so important that we start nourishing the health and the wellness of who we are in whatever way you're excited. Each and every one of you are unique to explore spirit within, to have fun exploring spirit within, knowing that your path is unique, your story is unique, and so too are you. So live in the fullness of who you are as this beautiful and unique and genuine experience, this beautiful sacred seed. And we love you so, so much. Our links are below, and we honor you, dear ones, and we honor you. Thank you so much, and have fun creating. Bye.